Welcome back, Source Nation. Now here's your host, Kathy B.
And welcome back, Source Nation. Welcome back. You're listening live right here on the Ladies Lounge. I am your host, Kathy D. Well, you guys know that we are in the second hour of the show, but But before I start anything, I need to thank some wonderful and amazing people because we would not be here without them, and they are WGLRO.com, Scott Kira's Foundation, Urban Grandstand Digital, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blends, Renovations, and New Covenant Appraised Worship Center. Just as I said, we are now in our second hour, and I'm going to be speaking with the beautiful and lovely Ebony G Pollard. Now, she is part of the Pain to Purpose book, and I'm telling you, these ladies have come in and they have given us some amazing, amazing stories and definitely been able to share their journey with us. And Ebony's going to come in and do the same, but before I bring Ebony here into the studio with me, I'm going to read a little bit about her and then have her come in and give us some information in regards to what she has contributed to the book. Now, Ebony is a writer, speaker, and mompreneur with a passion for encouraging others, especially women, to live intentionally. She is the founder and CEO of The Right Agent LLC, which is a real estate transition, coordination, and virtual administrative assistance firm, and she's also a co-author of the book Pain to Purpose. Now, Ebony is not shy when it comes to telling her story. She says that she wants to encourage women who are where she has been and to let them know that by the grace of God, they can make it. I love that. You know, Ebony has derived with much wisdom and insight to own up to her experiences and is very happy in sharing her message. And she's hoping that this is a transformation power of God within others. I love that. I do believe that Ebony is here in the studio with us. Ebony, hello and welcome to the Ladies Lounge.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
Hello. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for being here in the lounge with us. Of course, you know, I didn't give you a bio justice, and I tell you why. We've had the opportunity, Ebony, really to begin to share you with the ladies here in the lounge, and not only the ladies, but the Source Nation family. So if you will, please, if you could take a moment just to introduce yourself and share a little bit more information about you, we'll jump into our conversation from there.
Okay, no problem. Well, I am Ebony G Pollard. I am, as the bio said, a speaker, a writer, and a mompreneur. I have a lovely, lovely young little girl named Joy. She's 4 years old, so she is my why. And that, you know, everything that I do, I'm a business owner. I own the Right Agent LLC. I'm a real estate agent, and I also have some other business ventures that will be coming later on down the road this year. So I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I love God's people. I'm called to broken women. I'm called to empower women, and that is I'm really passionate about that, you know, and that's what I'm here for, to empower and encourage and just share some insights that I've learned from my experiences to encourage other people.
Mm-hmm. Love that, Ebony, and thank you so much for sharing that with us and definitely being here tonight here in the lounge to speak with us. Now, of course, I shared with the ladies that you are a co-author in the book Pain to Purpose, and we've had the opportunity to speak with some beautiful ladies that have contributed their stories to the book. So if you don't mind me asking, share with the ladies your contribution and why was it so important to give light to your platform?
Oh, wow. Well, I believe it was important for me to contribute to this because I've been through some things that, you know, that started in my childhood and carried over into adulthood. It affected the way that I lived. It affected my thought processes. It affected the decisions I made and who I allowed into my space and into my life. And until I got the revelation that I needed to be freed from some pain and things that happened in my childhood, until I got the revelation, my life was a mess. And my life was a mess. I was a mess. I was something to deal with. So once I got that revelation and I allowed God to work on my heart and do the work that I needed to do to be healed and delivered and set free from those things, my eyes opened up to how that affected my life, and that is why I'm so transparent and able to tell my story, because I know that there are other women who are where I have been, and I want to go back like Harriet Tubman and get them free.
Okay.
So that is that's why.
All right. Now, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. Talk to us. The story itself, it deals with the childhood. If you don't mind sharing with us, what transpired in your childhood and some of the things that you had to deal with to get to where you are now and able to speak freely about it. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like rejection set in at a very early age for me. My father went to prison when I was around the age of 3, and my father at the time was my world. I was a true daddy's girl. Most of my childhood memories, my very early childhood memories, are of spending time with my father. Mm-hmm. And when he went to prison, it felt like he not only disappeared, but his family disappeared. So I come from a very large family on my father's side, and I spent a lot of time with my father's siblings and my paternal grandmother. And so all of those things kind of came to a halt, and I internalized that and thought it was me, that I had done something, that I was bad. And then my mother remarried, and she remarried a man who at the time did not have the capacity to love me as his own. Now, me and my stepfather have evolved so much, but it was a hard road for us. And, you know, he's my dad. You know, I call my father, my biological father, my daddy, and I call my stepdad my dad. He raised me. He is my father, too. But we had a hard road. And in him not having the capacity to love me as his own, I, experienced rejection and feeling like I was bad and a burden as well. And it wasn't just him. It was, just my family in general. My grandmother told me a few years ago that she realizes now that when I was younger, that what she was trying to correct was actually who I was called to be. And when she told me that, it made me realize that, because, people may not have understood how to really deal with Ebony and what her personality was, I grew up thinking that there was something wrong with me. And so I was always apologizing and just, I just always felt like a burden and that there was something wrong with me. And that contributed to the decisions I made as far as men that I dated and different things like that. I've experienced sexual abuse. I was raped by a boy from high school, and I never told anybody that because I felt like I deserved it, and different things like that. So that's what the story is about. Like, I don't want to give the whole thing away because I want y'all to read it, but that is ultimately what I'm talking about, how those things shaped me then and who I am now.
I love what you're saying, and yes, of course, we don't want to give it away, but I want to talk about rejection, and I want to speak from it from the angle of we all know African American children, and especially young women that do not have a male figure present in their household. Typically, growing up, they try to seek that love that was missed in other places. And sometimes it's not good for them. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that and get your thoughts on that and in full understanding as to why is that. What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm a firm believer that daddies are important, fathers are important, and they're important because they need to a positive father figure is important because it instills in us as young ladies, as women, that, this is how a man is supposed to treat us. It fulfills a need, and I believe it keeps a void from forming, and when you don't have that void begins to form, and as you grow, it just grows and grows and grows, and you go through life doing whatever you can to fill that void, not understanding that there's even a void. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I looked to fill that void by being approved by people. Like, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Just tell me I'm good. And it caused me, and that was in platonic relationships and romantic relationships, and it caused me to take some really messed up stuff from some men, like things that, you should not be taking. And, verbal, mental, I did not experience physical abuse, but verbal, mental, sexual, all of those things. And I took those things and continued to attract men who did those things because I just wanted to be loved. So I would stay in a situation just to feel like I still had somebody, and it was so jacked up, so jacked up. And that was all. And the root of all of that was rejection. The root of all of that, and I hate rejection. Like I'm coming for rejection.
And I don't think that is uncommon because it does happen, and I think that's one of the statistics when it comes to young African American women that go out and try to seek love or try to validate what was not there in their lives. So the fact that you are speaking on that is so very important and definitely relevant. So let's go on. Now, once you were able to realize that something is going wrong and has gone wrong, what were the steps? What were the steps of you making it better for you and deciding to turn your life around?
Well, I believe my turning point was when I became pregnant with my daughter. Her name is Joy. And the moment that I realized she was a girl, I went to the ultrasound and they told me that I was having a girl. It was in that moment that I decided that I needed to change because at that moment I decided I would rather die than allow my daughter to experience even a fraction of what I experienced. So I knew that in order to do that, I had to change because I had to give her a firm example to follow. So I, made that decision, God, please work on me. I know that I'm messed up. I know that I'm jacked up. I know that I'm trying to fill this void with everybody but you. Help me to allow you in to fill that void and change my heart and change my mindset about the way that I think about myself so that I can provide a strong example for this young woman that I'm about to have to raise.
Right.
And so that was the turning point. And that's when the cycle began. And little by little, certain things, things began to fall off. And I began to become stronger in some areas. And then around the time my daughter was about 2, I entered into a relationship that I am going to talk about in the book. I entered into a relationship with a man that I had no business being in. And I feel like that was the other part of the lesson that I needed to learn, that it exposed that there was still some healing that still needed to take place in my life. And it was through that relationship that God let me know that, yeah, you made progress, but you have some more, you have some more healing that needs to take place. And I made the decision to, cut that relationship off and sever those ties. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience ever since.
Love that. Now, with that being said, Ebony, you mentioned the form of rejection. At any time, this rejection, was it towards your father? feeling rejected because your father went away to prison, and the times that you all had together, you no longer had. Was there any form of resentment?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I came to a place where I was very angry at him. I was angry at him. I was angry at my stepfather because I felt like you didn't love me well enough, and this is why I am the way that I am. Now, I want to say that I also, I went through the process of being angry at them, but I also had to realize that, by the time I was in this process of being angry at them, I'm a grown woman. So I still have to take responsibility for the decisions that I made. No, they did not have the capacity to love me the way that I needed to be loved, but God does.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to make a decision to forgive my father for the decisions that he made that caused him to go to prison and be taken out of my life. And I had to forgive my stepfather for not having the capacity to love me at the time. Like right now, he is an absolutely wonderful grandfather to my daughter. And
Right.
I feel like through loving her the way that he loves her, that he's loving the little girl that he didn't get to love when I was little. And I'm fine with that, But I had to make a decision to forgive them and release my father and my stepfather so that I could move on. Right. They don't owe me anything. They don't owe me any debt, and I love them both. But I'm looking to God to fulfill me at this point. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I want to play devil's advocate here because I surely believe in that this all can take place because I've seen it. But is it fair? Is it fair to lay so much of that on both men? You have one man that was present and for whatever reason had to go and serve time in prison, and then you have another man that has come into your life and, he realizes that there was a man present there, and it could very well be that he just did not want you to think that he was trying to replace your father. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate. And you were a young child, so you probably didn't even think that vast into the situation yet. But now coming away from it and now a woman and you're teaching your daughter these things, what are your thoughts about that? Do you ever look back and say, was it fair for me to think like that or to be the way that I was at the time?
Well, I mean, concerning both of them, I would say no, it's not fair to place, all of the blame on them. But like I said, in the experience with my stepfather, we had a hard road. I feel like we both did things to hurt each other. And then of course, my mom was in the middle of that, and so I will say that there were some things that took place that were very hurtful that I did have the right to place blame on him for. However, I did some things to hurt him as well. So I will say, but I agree with you that it's not fair to place so much blame because I have responsibility too. But, at the time I was a child, I didn't get to the place where I was ready to process those childhood emotions until I was an adult. So that's why I say that it's not fair to place so much blame because as an adult, I recognize that where I am right now or where I was at the time that I made the decision to allow God to heal me, I had to take responsibility for the decisions I made as a result of not receiving the love that I thought I should have received. I hope I'm making sense when I say that.
Yes, ma'am. You are.
And that the person, or not the person, but who I need to go to be ultimately fulfilled is my heavenly Father, not my earthly father.
I love that. I love that. Now, I want to talk about a particular area that I think is very important, especially when we are choosing to grow in spirituality, to grow mentally and physically in life. And that is the area of forgiveness. And I tell you, Ebony, that is so hard when we haven't reached the level of growth in our relationships, whether it be in life, whether it be with the spirituality, because, God says that we are to forgive because he has forgiven us for the things that we've done and for the sins as it's written in the Bible. So let's talk about that, the area of forgiveness and what it was like for you and for you now to say, I have forgiven what has happened in my past. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. It's actually funny that you bring that up because my pastor was harping on forgiveness today at church, and one thing that he said that I loved is that forgiveness is a decision that you make that your feelings aren't going to always agree with. You choose to forgive, but that doesn't mean that your feelings are lining up with that. And for me, being able to forgive and come to a place of forgiveness has freed up so much for me. I have so much joy and peace in my heart because I'm not worried about what so-and-so did. And that's across the board, not just what I felt like I didn't get from my father or my stepfather, anybody that I felt had hurt me in the past or even in the present. I forgive because with forgiveness there's freedom, that you're not bound by those thoughts about what that person did or didn't do and why did they do this and this, that, and the other. I don't have time for that. I forgive you. I release you from the debt that I feel like you owed me, and I'm not looking for an apology. I'm living my life, and I'm keeping my heart free and clear so that God can continue to communicate with us. The Bible says that David said that created me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. I believe that God can communicate with a clean heart. If you got all this junk that's standing between you and the Lord, and not only that, he says that if you don't forgive, he's not going to forgive you.
That's right.
I don't have time to be holding on to stuff and missing, out on a whole relationship with God because I'm worried about you didn't say sorry. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. I love that. Source Nation and the ladies in the lounge, we are speaking with Miss Ebony Pollard tonight. She's given us some great information in reference to her contribution to pain to purpose. And tonight's conversation is a great one. Now, Ebony, I want to talk about now the relationship that you have. You mentioned that you have a relationship with your stepfather. Is your father still living? And if so, how's the relationship been with him? And what difference have you seen since writing the your contribution part in the book?
Yes, my father is still living, and my stepfather is. They're both in my life, and me and my father, we had a hard road when I realized how I was hurting, and I brought it to him. The things like this is how you were going to prison. This is how it affected me, and we did have a hard road, but we worked through it, and we have a very, very communicative relationship. We are able to talk to each other, and, sometimes we butt heads, but I think that's because, he's the daddy and I'm the daughter, but it's healthy. And then it's, me and my stepfather, and I don't even refer to my stepfather as my stepfather. He's my dad. Like I said, my friends know who I'm talking about by what I said. My father is my daddy. My stepfather is my dad. And my dad, he is, I realized that I learned hard work from him. I look at all the things that I did learn from him. He's a very hard-working man. You cannot get this man to not work. You got to force him to take vacation days, and he's very hard-working. He's very, he's a true provider. He will do whatever he can to provide for his family. And I love him for that. And I believe that because of the example he set there is why I work so hard to provide for my daughter. And he's a wonderful grandfather to my daughter, even though he sometimes does stuff I tell him not to do. And he says my daughter made him do it. But that's a typical granddaddy for you. But our relationship is wonderful. I love both of my fathers, and I'm thankful for them.
Now, and thank you for sharing that with us. Now, do you see, Ebony, when someone has experienced rejection, whether it be from a parent standpoint or possibly a relationship, is it easy to bounce back once you've had the opportunity to take a look at the situation and begin to work on the areas to strengthen? Is it easy to bounce back, and was it easy for you?
I don't think that it's easy. I think it kind of depends on the situation and the level of rejection and what took place. So I don't think that it's easy. But it takes a decision. It takes tenacity. It takes determination to bounce back. And that's what it took for me. It was not easy. It was not easy by any means. And but I had to get to a place where when I would feel like the residual effects of the rejection that had taken place in my life rise up, I would have to make a decision to squelch that. Deal with it, process. Okay, why are you feeling this way? Is this a valid concern that you have, or is this something to do? Are you feeling this way because of, some root issues of rejection? And once I processed that, and kind of made a determination if I was tripping or not, I was able to move forward. But I had to intentionally make the choice to keep it moving. And so, no, it wasn't easy. And there are still times where it's not easy, but I have to intentionally make the choice to keep moving forward.
And I think, if we don't, that can tend to hinder us, where we're not going to be successful in the choices and decisions that we make coming from rejection. Here on this platform, I love to use myself as an example. It just seems that, in every conversation that I have, I can just find myself being placed there, and what did I do, and with rejection, my marriage, for instance, my second marriage, this was a marriage I thought that it was going to be for lifetime. Didn't even think that I was going to get divorced a second time, and to know that my ex-husband didn't want the marriage, and infidelity was the demise of the marriage. When I tell you that I had to face rejection, Ebony, that was the hardest thing for me to do, because I'm like, again. Why wouldn't he want to be married to me? I'm a loyal, faithful wife. I go to work every day. I come home and take care of the house. I take care of the kids. What more? And why would you go outside the home seeking something that it could very well be here? You're just not allowing me to understand it. So I fully understand when you speak of rejection, and I can tell you, when I had to look at myself in the mirror and ask those questions, it was very hard. But the one thing that you said tonight, Ebony, that is so true, I had to forgive. And I remember when my ex-husband asked me, he said, Kathy, how long did it take you to forgive me? And he was very shocked by what I said. And I said, immediately.
Wow.
And he was like, what? I said, immediately. I said, because if I was ever going to have peace, and if I was ever going to have a relationship outside of what you and I had to forgive you, and I had to forgive me.
Right. Absolutely.
And that is the only way I feel we're going to be successful in the things that we do, you know, because you can't place blame on everyone. Just as you said, you can't place blame on everyone. And I think, you know, just as you said, too, we cannot place all of our faith in man. We have to go to God. You know,
right.
God is there for a reason. He is there. He is there to answer all of our prayers. He is there as our spiritual father. I think that is very important. So I really love what you said in regards to being able to forgive and forgiving yourself first. So I want to talk about that and how people that you have come in contact with feel about the area of forgiveness and being able to forgive others for any situations that they've been involved in. What's your reception on that? Have you gotten any reception from it?
Can you clarify what you mean?
Okay. Have you been able to speak with people in regards to forgiveness? What are their thoughts about being able to forgive in the situations that they've been involved in? Have you been able to talk about that?
Yes, I have. Okay, I understand you now. Yes, I have, and I've gotten kind of mixed reviews. There are some people who are ready to forgive, and there are some that are just not. Like, no, I don't like what they did. I'm not gonna forgive. You know, so when and you know, and I understand because you know, again, depending on the severity of the offense, I can understand there being, you know, difficulty forgiving. So I don't really press the issue. You know, when I encounter that, I just, you know, I'm a huge advocate for living by example. And that's fine if you're not ready to forgive that person or whatever, but, you know, maybe through watching me and hearing my story and hearing the things that I have overcome and forgiven, maybe it will, and seeing the joy that it has produced in my life, then maybe it'll compel you to go ahead and forgive.
Right.
You know?
I love that. So now that the book has been written, you placed your contribution in the book. What are some of the things as your daughter is growing up to become a beautiful young lady, just like her mom? What are some of the things that you would want to share with her about your past, and you would want from her to understand and not repeat some of the things that led you to where you are?
Right. I think the biggest thing that I would want to convey to my daughter is that she is enough. She's more than enough. And she's good. Like, we do daily affirmations, and her first two lines she's memorized, and she's only 4, but her first 2 lines of her daily affirmations are, I am strong and courageous, I am good and not bad. Those were very important for me to instill in her because I wanted my baby to know that no matter what you do, I may not always like what you do, but I love you. You are not bad. What you did probably wasn't great, but you are not bad. There's nothing wrong with you. And so that is the biggest thing that I want her to take away from anything that I ever share with her. I have purpose in my heart that I will be transparent with my daughter. Whatever questions she has about my past, I'm going to share with her because I don't want her to repeat the mistakes that I've made. But I also speak life over my baby, and I have mature conversations with her, and I tell her, you can tell mommy anything because I want to set a strong example for her to follow so that she won't even be tempted to follow in my footsteps from my past. Like that won't even be a thought of hers, you know. So I just posture my life in a way that I'm setting an example for her, but I'm also letting her know that mommy is here for you no matter what. And she's not judging you. She's got your back. And so that is what I hope that my daughter takes away from anything she learns about my past.
Great information. I love that. Now, outside of Pain to Purpose, I know that you're doing a couple of things. Are you working on anything else regarding rejection and how to strengthen yourself from that and be very successful in life? Are you doing anything outside of that in regards to what your platform was about?
Yes, I am. My motto is be intentional, like live intentionally, because and I am working on some things, including a conference later on in the year about living intentionally and what that looks like, and carrying those steps out of your everyday life. So that is like my big platform, and I am going to tackle rejection in that and being intentional about becoming free from rejection, because that is a big, huge thing. Everybody you encounter is probably suffering from some effects of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
So I am working on that, and I don't necessarily have a book or anything in the works right now in regards to rejection, but I believe that that's going to come later down the line too. But the biggest thing is going to be the conference at the end of the year, and that is going to be around November, and we're still working on that. So that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
I do have a website that I think you have on the flyer. I do have a website, so as information becomes available, it'll be on my website, which is egpollard.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Ebony, share with the ladies, as we are closing out on our segment this evening, what would you like for them to know and understand about your contribution in the book, and how can they get information in regards to that to become much stronger in their daily lives? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say that to any woman that I encountered, especially regarding what I shared in the book, they're fearfully and wonderfully made, which means that God made you with respect and high regard, and that as long as you have breath in your body, God's not through with you yet. No matter what you did, as long as you got breath in your body, God's not done with you. And you have purpose, and to just keep moving forward. So that's what I hope that anybody that reads my contribution would take away, that by the grace of God, you can make it, and you will make it. You just have to be intentional. You have to intentionally make that choice that you're going to make it, and allow God to help you through that process. And I hope did I answer all of your questions?
You did.
Okay.
And I thank you. As we are closing out tonight's segment, of course, we always like to add, if you had any more encouraging word or possibly some tips and advice that you could share with the women, we would love for you to do so at this time.
Okay, yes. Well, yeah, like I said, you as long as you have breath in your body, God is not through with you, and just be intentional, live intentionally, make positive choices, surround yourself with people that are where you want to go, and see yourself through God's eyes. Ask God to help you to see yourself through His eyes and see how wonderful He believes that you are. No matter what you did, He loves you, and He has a good plan and purpose for your life.
Love that. And if you will, please share with the ladies here in the lounge, as well as Source Nation, how we can get more information about you and continue to support you in your efforts.
Yes, my website is egpollard.com. That's EGPOLLARD.com, and or you can email me at ebony@egpollard.com. And I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/EGPollard.
Awesome. Well, Ebony, again, thank you so much for coming in tonight and definitely giving us some great information in reference to your part of Pain to Purpose. Definitely, it has been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to hearing more great things about you and from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been a great experience.
Thank you so much, Ebony. You take care, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.
You too. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, ladies, here in the lounge, you heard from Miss Ebony G Pollard. Great information that she has given us. She is a writer, speaker, and mompreneur, definitely doing some wonderful and amazing things in her community. She is a co-author in the book Pain to Purpose, and, of course, her part of the book was all about rejection. You know, what I love about Ebony is the fact that she was very transparent and basically said that, yes, rejection was something that she experienced. She experienced rejection from her biological father as well as her stepfather. But the thing about it was that she was able to find forgiveness. Not only did she forgive herself in the situation, but she forgave both men, and now their relationships are that much stronger. What I know, Source Nation and the ladies in the lounge, to be true is the fact that in order for us to be successful in our relationships, whether it be family relationships, whether it be a love relationship, woman and man, you want to be able to communicate. I find that that is something that we lack. We lack the understanding that communication is key. And what I love about what Ebony stated was the fact that she was able to express to her biological father how she felt when he had to go away to prison. She had a life to where it was so enriched. She was able to witness her father's love. Not only that, she was able to witness the love of the family members on her father's side. And once all that happened, it was gone. It was gone. And then her mother remarries, and this man comes into her life, and, you know, things began to happen that she didn't like, he didn't like, but in the end, the relationship grew. And that's what I love, is the fact, taking time out to look at your situation and begin to talk those things out and being true, being honest, but foremost, being transparent enough to let folks in and you work together. So I want to thank Ebony for coming in tonight and definitely giving us that great information. All of Ebony's information and more can be found on Kathy B, Source Radio Network, as well as our main station page, Source Radio Network. And begin to support the ladies in the book Pain to Purpose, because all of them have contributed some great stories and definitely some excellent journeys that we all can learn from. Again, thank you, Ebony, for coming in and speaking with us.